Joining us now is OG Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, OG. Good morning,
Dr. Abati. How are you?
Good morning. I'm
Great.
Good.
Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, OG.
How are you?
Great,
you know why I'm calling you Victoria, right?
I do.
Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
Hi, good morning, OG. I'm doing all right. I'm fine. Morning.
Great, thanks. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the highlights of what's trending across the globe. After Harry and Meghan's explosive tell-it-all interview with Oprah Winfrey, a new photo of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex with Baby Archie, taken by Nigerian photographer Nisan Harriman, has made the rounds on social media. And Good Morning Britain's TV host Piers Morgan, who described the interview as disgraceful and a betrayal to the Queen, got into a heated debate with political and women's rights activist Dr. Shola Shobamimu on the issue of royal racism.
You constantly use your platform as a wealthy, white, privileged man with power and influence to
what a load of
and
nonsense,
escalate
honestly.
the bigoted,
What a load of
sexist,
race-baiting
racist,
nonsense.
and the misogynist
What a
attacks on
load
Meghan
of
Markle.
race-baiting
And you do it so
nonsense.
shamelessly.
We have
That's
done
the
more.
point.
We have done
So the
more
Queen is
on
94,
racial issues on this
Philip
show
is 99.
than any other
So
show
now
on
you can't
television.
call out anything they've done
You're
that is
talking,
wrong.
Shola. You can
want
keep
to deny
shouting.
that the royal family has any racist undertone or actions against the first biracial, but simply because you're in love with the Queen?
No,
You can love
I
the
think
Queen,
what you're doing
but
now.
You can love the
Okay.
Queen, but you should be able to call out actions done by the royal family when they've got it wrong.
And Twitter is abuzz in the United States as billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, remarries to a science teacher from her children's school. Then, tech giant Google, in celebration of International Women's Day, has pledged $25 million in its Global Impact Challenge to women and girls in Africa. Finally, in Nigeria, First Lady Aisha Buhari has broken her silence on the abduction of schoolgirls. Well, let's begin with reactions to Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Buhari's statement on the spate of kidnappings of young girls and women by bandits and terrorists in the country. The First Lady, who has not addressed the media in a long while, posted a statement on her Twitter page admitting that she was aware of the impact the abductions could have in reverting many successes achieved, especially in terms of girl-child education and early marriages. Her statement was posted in commemoration of International Women's Day. The First Lady used the medium to call on all stakeholders to bring an end to the mass abduction. I mean, her tweet had garnered a lot of reactions on social media, rightfully so, because she has not spoken since September, I believe. A lot of people are speculating and saying that she's not in the country. I mean, after her daughter's wedding, apparently people are saying that she had moved to Dubai. I mean, there's no clarity on that at all. But people on social media have the impression that, why is she so aloof? How does she not know how to negotiate and talk to people in power to rescue these schoolgirls or stop the spate of kidnappings and terrorism in the country?
Well, I am not interested in that debate of where the First Lady is, considering the fact that we are not supposed to have a First Lady at all. I mean, I hate to be pedantic, but no, campaign promises should be kept. We don't just get into power, then fling them out the window. But I do appreciate the statement that she released, especially because she generally has been reticent nowadays. So it's clear that this is something that means an awful lot to her. That's why she broke her silence. And she's drawing attention to a very important point. The gains made in the area of girl child education, for every girl that goes to school, it's one less girl that's married off in childhood. So now what these people are doing is reversing that. And it's all the more reason why it is so terribly offensive to minimize the damage that these criminals are doing. When we're trying to say, should we call them bandits or criminals or whatever silly, spurious argument that is, they are actually terrorists because what they are doing is attacking a way of life, such that parents now who have finally gotten round to educating their daughters now have one less reason to do so and think, what if they get kidnapped? It's really, so I appreciate her statement that she released.
Yeah, it is important for, people in power to speak often. I think that's the most important thing that I can get out of this statement by the First Lady, Dr. Abati.
Well, yes, the president's wife, First Lady of Nigeria, but first, I think we should respect the fact that she's first and foremost a citizen.
Right.
And to that extent, she has the right to also express an opinion. And the opinion that she has expressed in this instance, I think is useful. She was talking about the feminization of poverty, the disruption that is caused by terrorism, the special target on young girls and also vulnerable persons. And she empathized. She said in that statement that she expresses, sorrow, and she shares in the agony of the affected families. And that's something that all of us can identify with. The emotional responses would seem to have to do with the fact that she's the wife of the president. But that's not something we have to really worry about. She's not the one we voted for. Nigerians voted for our husband, who promised to deal with the challenge of security. And when she was saying that she hopes that stakeholders will address the disruptions that have occurred with regard to security in the country, well, I guess that the number one stakeholder that message is meant for is the president himself, on whose desk the buck stops. Now, people asking whether she's in Dubai or she's in Nigeria, well, that's not of urgent national importance. She can be wherever she wants to be. She's a free citizen. She can go wherever she wants. But people also talked about her signature. Just to let you know how finicky people can be. They looked at the signature. People were saying, this signature looks like the president's signature. Well, the president couldn't have signed the statement issued by his wife, but I had to double check it. And I noticed that where the president signs with an M, and that looks like an A.
That looks like an A.
Yes,
Correct.
so, but this is just of interest to some people. But what is more important is the need to address the security challenge and to make sure that our schools are safe and our girls are no longer being targeted by bandits, and that nobody encourages terrorists to turn these, kidnapping, abductions into a way of life, into a full-time lucrative vocation.
Right. Before I come to you, Rufai, I'll take a tweet so we can get the general feeling of what people are saying on social media. We'll take a tweet from Homie, who wrote, "You called out former President Goodluck Jonathan, asking him to resign over insecurity issues. Now, as First Lady, you ran away from your country, which is currently in a deeper mess. Can you call out your president and do the same thing you did then? Or should Nigerians call this hypocrisy?" Rufai.
You know the part that is making me laugh? The fact that despite everything going on and the kidnapping, people are still looking at signature. What has this country have become? It's become a circus, right? People are still looking at the signature of who wrote it, who signed it at the end. It's just very sad. You see, it is very sad enough that we have a country that is supposed to help develop the girl child, the potential of a lot of people. And bandits are running amok, and people are making legitimate claims for these bandits. Somebody told us on this platform that we should never call them bandits. And I keep on asking, should they be called national heroes? And everybody's throwing the baby away with the bathwater about the salient issues that affect women in this country. The fact that most of the food you and me go to buy in the market, over 60% of the smallholder farmers are women, but they don't have access to land. Somebody called me the other day in Niger that she's got a farm. She's a retiree, worked in a university, she's got a farm, and bandits told her to leave the farm and deposit 20 bags of rice from her farm there. She can't farm any longer. So the issues of protection of women are not put on the front burner. So if the president's wife says this, I'm excited. But apart from she saying this, I want something to be done. Can't we solve a problem once and for all? Can't we solve this issue of banditry and insecurity once and for all? Don't we know the solutions? We have some people going to talk to the bandits in the bush. Can they point us to where they are once and for all? Can they be arrested? But no. We throw the baby away with the bathwater again. We let down women in this country. We've done it constantly. Our culture has let them down. Society has let them down. Now security officials have let them down. Leah Shaibu is still nowhere to be found. But what do? We let ourselves down over and over again.
All right. Let's take another story. The explosive debate between Good Morning Britain's show host Piers Morgan and women's rights activist Dr. Shola Shogbamimu has garnered a lot of reactions on social media. The morning after Harry and Meghan's tell-it-all interview with Oprah Winfrey, Piers Morgan called the segment an absolutely disgraceful betrayal. He even went further to dismiss claims that racism drove the couple from the royal family. Then, Dr. Shola decided to give him a history lesson in colonialism before calling him disgusting. Let's take a look.
And then you are lording over the Queen. Listen, by all means, let's applaud the Queen when she does something right. But when she does something wrong, we need to call her out.
What does she do wrong? What does she do wrong?
What kind of grandmother? Let me finish. What kind of grandmother will be so close to her grandson, Harry, but then not use her power and influence as Queen to protect them from the racist media coverage?
I find what you're saying about the Queen actually disgraceful. I find what you're saying, you're entitled to your opinion, Shola. Sorry, no, I'm allowed to respond to what you've just said.
Is rooted, listen, you might learn something. The royal family as an institution is rooted in colonialism, white supremacy, and racism. The legacy is right there. So you're now surprised that a comment would have been made by several members of the royal family about how dark Archie's skin is.
It's not several members, actually. No, you can't spew lies.
All right. Harry and Meghan.
Are we allowed to engage in any of this?
Let me finish.
Well, you're not stopping.
That Harry and Meghan had the audacity to speak that truth than you should be at the actual outrage of racism.
Right, okay. Am I allowed to respond to this? Am I allowed to respond yet?
You can respond now.
Okay. I think what you've just said about the Queen is disgusting. I think it's unbelievable. You talk about.
I mean, that was explosive, Tunju. A lot of people have applauded her for standing her ground. Dr. Shola, right there, a political and women's rights activist. I think that she really nailed it when she talked about the fact that we're more concerned about people, whether or not they were called racist, or the actual issue on ground. Tunju.
Well, I think Piers Morgan got a taste of his own medicine. He's used to bellowing at the top of his lungs and shutting people down, including his co-anchor, but not that day. She came ready. But I completely disagree with some of the things that she said, strongly, in fact.
Okay.
Yes, there's so many crimes that have been committed in the name of the British Crown, and nobody has ever atoned for that. And that's fact. It's a valid fact. But to say what kind of grandmother, that kind of judgment, based on one side of the story that didn't even get into details, she does not know enough to say that kind of a statement. We have to stick to the facts. What she complained about, what Meghan complained about, is so upsetting. I told you, I have no interest in petty little family squabbles or whatever. But this was not that. This was a whistleblowing incident for me. And it takes a lot of courage to be a whistleblower. So I really do support Meghan Markle in her coming out with these claims. It's very important that she did that. However, the Queen, we have to remember, is the head of state, but is a ceremonial head of state. When the heir to the throne, her own child, was implicated in what they called Camilla Gate, his phone was hacked and he was making disgusting comments to his mistress. She couldn't stop it.
Tundu, you'll have to hold your thoughts there.
I will be back with the rest of my thoughts.
When we come back, what's trending on the morning show will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show. We're still on what's trending. Now, Tundu, before we went on a break, you were talking about how you disagreed with what Dr. Shola, some of the things Dr. Shola said during that explosive interview with Piers Morgan.
Yes, I think she was a bit too hard on the Queen of England, who is the head of state. Yeah, her face is on all the money. including Canadian money, which is where Meghan Markle lives. So I don't know how she could say that she didn't know the impact of what she was dealing with. The woman's face is on the money. But it's ceremonial. She does not have power. The heir to her throne, like I was saying, his phone was hacked, and it was all revealed his risque, should I put it that way, conversation with his mistress, and also his wife, her risque conversation with a man that was inappropriate. All of that was there. The Queen did not step in, and she tends to be passive. Even they said it in the interview that they gave, Harry and Meghan with Oprah, that there's a fear that the royal family have. And I hate to go into it. People always expect too much from mere human beings. She's powerful, she's the Queen, she's whatever, but she also is aware that the entire monarchy is one wrong move away from obsolescence. They all saw what happened to their cousins, the Romanovs. Even her father, who wanted to help them, he could not allow them to come to England on asylum in case the public turns on them. They're actually quite afraid of the public, which is why they appear cold, because they don't want to interfere and get it wrong. So I think that clearly a mistake was made with Meghan. Like I said, it took courage for Meghan to come out and be the whistleblower. And going forward, unfortunately for Meghan, it's always hard to be the first.
Yes.
Going forward, that mistake should never be made again. They should find the courage, like Meghan did, to defend their own. But I actually think it's fear more than anything else. The press, the public, they're always trying so hard not to offend, which is why they're passive. So that is what I will say. I think she mischaracterized the Queen in that way. The rest of the points that she made, including the British crown and the blood-soaked British crown, I have to say, is correct, because people committed evil in the name of that crown. So that's correct. And as for Piers Morgan, I don't know why he gets so upset. Meghan Markle is his bête noire. Yeah. Can he not let it go? I mean, why is he so invested in anything to do with Meghan Markle?
Tundu, I think one of the major reasons she was saying what she was saying about the Queen was the fact that the racism in the media was so glaring.
No, it was, which is so what I'm saying. Next time they will know a mistake was made, of course. But I'm saying they're afraid. And also Prince Philip. Prince Philip was a prince of Greece. He was bundled out of his home in an orange box. Oranges were thrown out, and baby Prince Philip, at 18 months, the family had to flee before they were killed by a mob. These people are afraid. They know what it is for people to turn on the royal family, so they try to be cautious. So that judgment, I feel, was harsh. They're afraid. Next time, they will do better. I hope, if there's ever a second person who is this brave to go through this horror that Meghan Markle did.
Described it well. Dr. Abati, your comment.
Well, I mean, I find it very difficult to be judgmental,
Yes,
commenting on other people's lives. But what is clear is that if Prince Harry and the wife, Meghan Markle, if they thought that they were escaping from the British press by relocating to the United States, at least they see very clearly now that the same press that they were accusing of an invasion of their privacy would, for the rest of their lives, just follow them everywhere. That's the first point. The second point is the point I made yesterday, that Oprah Winfrey herself must be excited. There was a story about how she was nervous that the prince had an interview with James Corden and that she lost money, but apparently this will probably be one of the best interviews that she ever conducted in terms of the impact. Now, the newspapers in the UK and commentators have been saying that this is perhaps the biggest royal crisis that the House of Windsor has had since 1936, when Edward VIII, abdicated the throne and also followed, in his own circumstances, also an American woman. What's that name again? Wallis Simpson. And he abdicated the throne. This is quite similar, but the concern is that this is also likely to even have more monumental consequences for the throne. The British community is divided among those who think that the monarchy has outlived its usefulness. And, it could bring back that old argument about whether the monarchy should still be relevant, even if it's a ceremonial, monarchy rather than, a monarchy that holds outright power over the people. Right. Now, so that debate is coming up again, and that may be the source of the fear that Tundu is talking about. Now, as for Piers Morgan, I think that shouting match wasn't quite necessary, on both sides. Dr. Shubamimu, well, she's an activist. You could see her book at the background. She's an attorney, and she's been quite emotional also. Just as Piers Morgan is also emotional about this particular subject. But there are people who have also defended the Queen, who have said that, look, if you are accusing the monarchy of racism, in the first place, the monarchy did not block the marriage.
Yes.
If they didn't want, Meghan Markle in the family in the first place, they probably would not have made that marriage possible.
You know what, Dr. Basi, I like that point. I want to tell you about Oprah Winfrey.
The monarchy is not likely to respond.
So, right. You're right with that, because Oprah Winfrey sat down with Gayle King of CBS to share unreleased snippets of the interview. She also disclosed that Harry and Meghan did not reveal the identity of the royal who talked about Baby Archie's skin color. Let's take a quick listen to that.
Talk about, the jaw-dropping moment, the first one, about the color of the baby's skin. Yeah. And you asked Harry about it when he came out. He did not tell you who it was. Did you all have another conversation about it? Because that was something that, there's a big guessing game all around the world. Who was it, who was it, who wasn't? Yeah. I thought it was very touching that Harry still is choosing to protect the identity of whoever that was.
Yes, and he did not share the identity with me, but he wanted to make sure that I knew, and if I had an opportunity to share it, that it was not his grandmother nor his grandfather that were a part of those conversations.
That it was not his grandmother and Prince Philip, you said?
Yeah,
was not
his grandfather. Neither his grandmother nor grandfather were a part of those conversations. He did not tell me who were a part of those conversations. Right. As you can see, I tried to get that answer on camera and off.
So, Rufai, as you can see, it was not the Queen that made remarks about, Archie's skin color, and so we can't really say that they were responsible for some of the issues that happened in the family.
It's not the Queen, like Oprah's been able to set the place there. But for me, so it's a crisis between racism, Fleet Street boys, the boys that write the papers in England, because most of all the papers are on Fleet Street, and the monarchy. But I want to leave the monarchy out of it. I want to leave the Queen. She might not be perfect, but she's done a lot. And I give her a lot of respect for that. She might not be perfect, but she's done a lot. The antecedents of colonialism it didn't start from it didn't start from Queen Elizabeth. She wasn't the Empress of India like Victoria was. She was just a child born into the Grand Saxe-Coburg-Gotha family. So let's leave the Queen out of this. I think mostly it's about the Fleet Street boys and the fact that they think they have the right of inheritance to run their mouth about everything. And the Fleet Street boys, I mean the newspaper boys, which Piers Morgan is part of. Those are the people I'm fighting today. Piers Morgan used to be former editor, I think, of the Mirror of something at the age of 27. He's a Fleet Street boy. And most of the Fleet Street editor, like the News of the World guys, they always feel they're entitled with their big opinions on everything. And if you go back, see what they did to Millie Dowler when they had the phone hacking scandal that led to the end of the News of the World.
Who hacks into the phone of a murdered schoolgirl?
They hacked into the phone of a murdered schoolgirl.
Yes.
So you would see that all of this brouhaha, it's not even about the royal family against Meghan. It is the Fleet Street boys that look, how can we milk this as a story? And it is these Fleet Street boys we should be most afraid of. And they are led by a guy called Rupert Murdoch. There were two of them before. There was Rupert Murdoch, and there was also Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell died in 1992-93. He used to own the Mirror and Pergamon Press. These guys dictate what comes out of Britain in form of news, and if they say they want to destroy you, they'll destroy you in one fell swoop. It's got nothing to do with the monarchy.
Nothing.
The Fleet Street boys can conjure anything, just like they've started conjuring.
Well, unfortunately,
and Piers Morgan represents them.
We seem to have run out of time.
Yes, I also wanted to pull up the picture of Harry and Meghan's pregnancy bump. If you have that, can we see that? Now they're having a girl. If we have that.
We don't have the time for that, but the point Rufai is making. Perhaps there are many Nigerians who will say the same thing about Nigerian journalists also.
I'm one.
But anyway,
thank you
very much. That's all.